With our lovable Heroes in a Half Shell having been around for 40 years, I wanted to go back and look at where everything started and read the original comics. Now, of course, I'm not going to pay the thousands of dollars it is to get an original copy. Just not happening. I'm not into the Turtles that much, and I don't have that type of money even. But I got the next best thing. This graphic novel, compendium, whatever you want to call it. And yes, there are ones that have more issues and have a whole lot more stuff to them. But this has the first 7 issues of the original comic in it. The reprints, obviously. And it does have, like I said, it has the first 7 issues plus the Raphael one-shot here, which is where they actually introduced Casey Jones. And that was something that I found really interesting about this, was as I was going through it, and I'll just show you some random parts. As I was going through it and seeing just how quickly they did introduce characters in this world, and they're all characters that fans love. Shredder, like they say, was introduced right away in the first issue. The history of the Foot was told in there. The Turtles and their origin was in there as well. I did a quick video about that. Here's the first page of that original comic, which I know a lot of Turtle fans have seen these images a lot. I mean, I love the way that looks. But I mean, April's introduced second issue. Krang's introduced basically second or third issue, though you don't really realize who it is. The Fugitoids in like the 5th issue, and the Triceratons are in the 5th issue. Casey Jones, like I said, is introduced in the Raphael one-shot. And it's just incredible how quickly they introduce these characters that we've come to know and love, and who are really important within the Turtles lore. And this also has, after each comic or after each reprint, let me find one here to show you, it has just a page or two about the history of that specific comic. And these are all from Kevin Eastman. He's the one that wrote these, telling you about where the inspiration came from, what they were thinking at the time, and then specific pages and why they did certain things, which I really like. I've seen some history stuff of them talking about it, but to have it written down and see per issues, I really enjoy that. But yeah, this was like I said, very interesting to read. And actually, the biggest thing for me is, fans, especially those who grew up on the original cartoon, not necessarily reading these original copies. For them, it's that cartoon. So those are the versions of Shredder, the versions of April, the history that they've come to think of, like Master Splinter was Hiroshi. Yeah. And got transformed into a rat. That's not how it happened in here. And I was actually surprised how much this was actually more closely similar to the 2000s Turtles. And by that I mean the cartoon. That one was more accurate to the comic here, because it was a little bit darker. Splinter was a rat there at that time. He was never human. April is not a reporter in that one. She's not a reporter here. You have Stockman introduced pretty quickly. Yeah, and the Krang aren't even the bad guys. They're not bad. At least they don't start off evil in here. And then, like I said, you get the Fugitoid and Triceratons really quick, which I was that was interesting. But it also says in here, Eastman says they obviously they didn't expect it to take off. But they had like the first issue, and then, okay, we gotta do more. So they had up to these 7 issues, that was the story. Like, that was it. That's all they had. I mean, he even says right here at the end, it says the end, right down here in the corner. So they didn't intend to do more, but they did. I knew about some of the inspiration they had, you know, from Frank Miller and, well, that was the big one. I think they mentioned Alan Moore at one point. So it's interesting to see that in here. And part of the history in here, they tied it into Marvel eventually. Though they never say that TMNT is in the Marvel Universe. But they still, or that might just be a thing fans have talked about. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was very eye-opening, and I really do like the artwork, to be honest. I like what they did here with it. There's, I don't know what more to say. I just find it interesting. And they also, like, they changed the look of April. From, like, the very first, second issue she appears in, which is, well, TMNT 2 is when she appears in here. She's different from that one to the third one. I think they even changed her look within the issue, which Eastman says in here, they both he and Lardis, what is it, how do you say, Lards, that's what I think it is, they would put the paper back and forth so that they both were like, yeah, we're doing the artwork together. But this is very interesting. I really enjoyed seeing where things started without paying the cost. But yeah, so I know there's some ones that I know are more expensive, but this had what I really wanted to start. The original arc, the original stories. And yeah, like I said, I would highly recommend this for any Turtles fan who hasn't read the originals, or for somebody just who's interested in the history of comics, the history of the Turtles, or I guess I would just recommend, if you're interested in something, this is different. And it's definitely a lot different than what we have come to expect from the Turtles. Oh yeah, big splash pages and stuff. Yeah, just the way they talk to, the way they act. There we got Raphael and Casey. Yeah, Casey Jones, yeah, he's more, again, the 2000s cartoon was more accurate to this than the original show. And I know there's reasons for that. I've seen stuff about that. But all that to say, yes, this is good. I recommend it. It's interesting. So, 40 years ago is when these were made. Is when these started what would become the Turtles phenomenon. All the movies, all the cartoons, all the games. So what better way to celebrate than to read where it began? But you tell me, how big of a Turtles fan are you? Have you gotten the chance to read any of these original comics? You know, don't tell me if you have the original. I don't want to know. But what do you think of them if you gotten the chance to? If not, are you interested in seeing where this began? Whatever your thoughts, don't forget to comment down below. Hit that like button and subscribe. Trying to get to 100. I've reached my goal I set for myself. Actually, I was trying to get 75 subscribers. We reached that, so thank you to all who subscribed. We'd love to get to 100 by the end of the year. I don't foresee that happening, but one step at a time. But all that being said, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time. I love being a turtle!